All right, today I'm walking you through a little bit with Claude. I've become a big fan of Claude lately over ChatGPT and some of these other products. But specifically today, we're talking about Claude. What can you do with Claude? So first of all, Claude is by Anthropic, and if you're looking at my screen right now, then you'll see that I'm on what's called Claude Desktop. This is the desktop app that I have on Mac. I am a big supporter of the desktop app. And the reason for it is in the top of my screen here, you can see I have chat, co-work, and code. Chat, I can go back over here to chat, and you can see here where I can go into normal chat. You probably can't see my conversations, all these things here, but I could go in here, I could go in here, and I could use some skills that I've built. I could go to files I have. I could go to a project that I'm working on. I could go to a lot of different things, research. I can connect all these different things in chat, and it can help me with these. I can use some different models here. Here's something you want to remember with Claude. Your Opus 4.6 is going to be the most expensive. And what I mean is it's going to use the most tokens. That means you may get stopped or something like that. Haiku is going to be one of the fastest ones for quick answers. Think of it like this. You're going from a 30,000 foot view, working your way down to the 1,000 foot view. You're going from a generalist to niching. So, of course, it's going to take more energy and things like that. Sonnet is going to be probably your most efficient for your everyday stuff. So if I'm doing some research and things like this, I may start with a 30,000 foot view where it's not it's not using a lot of information. Then when I really dive deep into things and I really needed to analyze some data, I probably am going to the 4.6 Opus model. So those are the three things though. So that's chat. Now let's go over to co-work, and I'm going to go deeper in co-work in just a second. So in co-work, what I can do is, I've got one that's already done here that I've already started working on, but you can go in and you can connect Claude to any folder on your computer. Now here's the cool thing about this. It would only have access to the folders you give it access to. And this is important. I don't want you to have access to my whole computer like OpenClaw does. I just want you to work in certain folders. But it's not sharing it with the internet. It's basically a LM on your local computer. So one that I did is I uploaded my book of business. I removed customer information. So whenever I'm doing a project like this, I'm always removing the customer's name, date of birth, probably full address, email address, phone number, any kind of personal information. If we think about the full address, that's public data. We just don't want to connect somebody's name with it. And what we did is we went to, when we worked through co-work, we also went down here to our HubSpot connector. Or we could go to plugins here. And on the plugins, look, let's go to plugins here. You can see here, let's go back to the top. And I just want you to see kind of the prompt I started with. Is I gave it that folder, and I wanted to work through my book of business, help him understand. And you kind of see some of these different questions it started asking me based on the folder that I gave it. Then I connected it to HubSpot deals. And on the context here, you can even see on the right-hand side what I've got connected here. And then we started kind of working deeper and deeper. As I said, we're starting to work from about 30,000 to that 1,000. I'm giving it the commission percentage I get from the carriers and all this. That's letting it know, all right, where's the revenue happening? And you can kind of see just where the revenue, it was telling me where the revenue was happening and all these different things. And now you can kind of see as we go through this, the different prompts and questions it was asking me. Now let me scroll down to the bottom and show you kind of what this looks like. Let me just show you on the side here. So this is the dashboard that it kind of came up with, showing me some different things and pull through HubSpot, other data. And look, a lot of times if I'm working with an insurance agency on consulting, I'm running a report like this. I'm looking at, where are the premiums happening, types of policies, all these things to kind of help insurance agencies understand, okay, where should our efforts be spent when it comes to marketing? Where are we wasting money? Why is my team losing so many deals? This can help us with a lot of this as we go through and look at this. So this is how powerful co-work can be for you. Now look, let's take it one step further, and I want you to go down to plugins. I may have to close this out here. Let's see. Yeah, plugins. All right, let's go to the marketing plugin. These are different plugins that I've kind of built. So now let's go and look at campaign plan. And as it's kind of going through this now, let's see if it can help build this campaign plan now based on this data. And this is where plugins and things like this, typically some of these things are only available in Cowork. And so think of this like this. If you're using regular chat, someone could log into your Claude account, see your chats and all this. On Cowork, they cannot see it because it's pulling directly off your own computer. So everyone is going to have kind of their own Cowork. So I've got team members that share my Claude account, but they cannot see what I've been working on in Cowork. That could be beneficial, that could be negative. If you're doing a lot of collaboration, Cowork may not be the best fit. Now, here's a cool thing with this. It's the same price you're paying. Now, remember this. If this is not falling under the $20 plan, as I shoot this video, typically it's falling under what Claude calls, I think, their max plan. Now, personally, I pay $200 a month because I get very deep into this stuff. And I'm using Claude a lot for creating content, using data to build case studies, all these different things. And so this is where Claude can be beneficial. And while Cowork is working on that, let's go over here to code. And this is where we would be like vibe coding anything with Claude Code. Look, Claude Code is very good. And so what we could potentially do here is, let's see. Once again, we could go to select the folder, and I could have the folder that it works out of with Claude Code here. I can pick the model that it's working the code on. I can have all these different things. If you're vibe coding something, this is where you would use Claude Code. But honestly, with Cowork and chat now, you can vibe code it the majority of the way. Let's just go into chat right here. And I want to show you. And look, I'm typing right now because of the background, but let me do this. Let me go ahead and turn voice control on just so I can show you. I'm working on an ad strategy. Of course, it didn't work. I'm working on an ad strategy. Well, let me double check that. Because my voice control doesn't seem to be working there, does it? Hello? I'm working on a Facebook ad strategy, and I want your help building the landing page. I am targeting catering businesses in the state of Georgia, and I want to go after them for commercial auto insurance. And I want you to help me build a landing page that follows the frameworks of StoryBrand by Donald Miller. It follows copywriting from people like Dan Kennedy, Gary Halbert, David Ogilvy, and Alicia Hurd. The purpose of this page is conversion. So the call to action on this page should be shown 5 to 7 different times. Now, as it's going through and, see, I gotta stop that right there. Now, when it's going through and it's looking at this, and it's giving me these different things, it's pulling up different skills, all these different things in the background, it's working on that. Now, let me go back over to my Cowork. All right, so now I've gone back over the Cowork, and you remember that marketing campaign that we were just talking about? This is kind of the marketing campaign for the book of business that I've given it. Now you can kind of see the marketing plan, campaign plan that it's given me. It's telling me all these different things here, who the target audience is based on the pipeline. It's done, an okay job here. And look, is this a copy and paste? Absolutely not. Could this help guide me through my current marketing campaign strategy? Absolutely. I can tell people every day, you should be using Claude, Gemini, Manus, all these different products as a guide. Like, for example, here, it's telling me estimated budgets and all these different things. Tell me where the pipeline conversion should be. The states and all of this. So as you can see, this can really serve as a really good marketing assistant for you. So now that you can see this plan, look, how long is this plan? Look, what the next steps and everything are. This plan's 12 pages. That's pretty slick there, right? Now let's go back over to chat. Well, now nothing wants to pull up under here, does it? Let's just go to update. Put update in there and see what happens. You should have given me kind of suggestions there. You see, when we exit out of it, it didn't, do the best job that we needed it to do because we left it. So let's go back and just let it kind of work on itself again. You are an insurance content strategist with the goal of driving leads through a commercial insurance agency in Georgia. Period. Your target audience are catering companies in Georgia that you're targeting for commercial auto insurance. These typically are going to be companies that have been in business for at least 3 years, $1 million in revenue, and have at least 2 company vehicles. Period. I want your help building the landing page for the Facebook ad. The copywriting for this landing page should follow Story Brand Framework by Donald Miller. It should also use the different copywriting of Gary, Halbert, Alicia, Hurd, Dan Kennedy, David Ogilvy, and also follow the book Breakthrough Advertising. Now let's stay on this page and see what happens when we do this. And look, you could use this for marketing. You could use this for operations in your agency. But you do want to be very careful with customer data. And what I mean by that is like customer's name, date of birth, email, any of this stuff. I always remove that. What I'll do is download a book of business and I will remove that stuff. I'll remove the policy number before I put anything like that in the AI. Some people kind of threw caution to the wind. I'm taking this super cautious here in protecting customer information, even though it's got access to a folder. And getting access to that folder, it doesn't have access to certain policy numbers. It doesn't have access to customer contact information, but really just where those policies are being sold, the premiums, the coverage amounts, that kinds of stuff. So you see now this thing's starting to help build this. And let's see how fast we can build this. And the purpose of this is for me to show you how you could do this. And as it's going through here too, I'm going to also have it build a calculator as soon as it gets done with this. And I'm going to show you how you potentially could build that calculator use this calculator for your website. In fact, I mean, we build tons of these calculators in Claude every day, and we take them and we implement them into our website. So whether you're a coder, you're someone who's just kind of getting your feet wet in AI, you're really trying to figure out the marketing and all these things, Claude can be very beneficial. Do I use Claude instead of ChatGPT? Yeah, I've used it mostly. Claude's a really good writer. So I have shifted a lot of things over to ChatGPT, but I still end with my Endless Customers GPT when I'm writing content, just to kind of verify that we're following certain frameworks and things there. We'll see if I keep using ChatGPT on that because I am working on building it into Claude Skills and Gemini Gems as well. And I'll do Gemini, go through Gemini in a different video to show you some different things you can do with it as well. This particular part of the video, though, is just for Claude. Now, as I said, it's taken a little while here, but it should have this page built shortly. We didn't really give as much context as typically I would. I'd get very detailed. I would give it a target audience builder that I built in our target audience builder on GPT for insurance agents. And if you want a copy of that, it will be in the description of this video. It's a free GPT that you can use. I built this GPT off of more than 20,000 pieces of data on a project that I had to do for my master's in digital marketing at Wake Forest when we helped Lululemon launch a new product line about a year ago. And so it really goes into demographics, why people make decisions they do, why they don't, all these different things. And so it can really help you on the target audience when you're looking at building an ad like this, when you're trying to figure out who is this video for, because that's what we forget many times is that we keep trying to talk to everybody when we should be talking directly to one person in that video, in that marketing, in that messaging. And this is where many times where we fail with our marketing is we're trying to talk to too many people. So hopefully this will have this high converting web page. Now look, when it creates this, is this going to be a copy and paste for me? Absolutely not. Usually most of the time it doesn't have the branding that I need. It doesn't, there's certain things with the messaging. Like, for example, I was using this to build some case studies this weekend. And I went back and forth with it for about 30 or 45 minutes. But what I do want to show you is just how good this could come up with this. And you see, this looks really good. But here's one thing I'm looking for. All right, I'm looking for the call to actions. So here's what we have here. For example, look at these call to actions. See how it works. Get your free coverage review. See how what works. You see the messaging is still off there. But when we go see how it works, then we could open this link. Let's see what happens when we open this link. What does it take us to? That's one thing I want to see. So it just takes me back to Claude there. All right. But we go back here. Primary CTA, secondary CTA. I typically try to have that on these pages. When I'm building a page like this, like you see here, I don't want a big navigation bar because this is a conversion page. So I don't want people getting distracted. I don't want anything that's going to take them away from this page unless it's focused on converting them. And you kind of see the different things that's following the story brand. It gives us the different numbers here, which is pretty good. The 3-step process, which follows story brand. But I have not seen the CTA again yet. And you see that it really has only put the CTA on there once. And it's put these questions at the bottom and all this stuff. See at the very bottom? CTA is only on this page twice. We really should have it on there at least 5 to 7 different times. You have a secondary CTA called Let's See How It Works. This is confusing. The buyer's thinking to themselves, how does what work? The messaging there is very confusing. So we need to work on improving that messaging that really falls more into the story brand clarity. Now let's see what that comes back with. And look, if we go up here to the top, you'll probably see soon how this will improve automatically here. And look, here's a couple things you can do here with this page. You could download this. You could actually publish this to Claude. It's not indexed by Google typically, but then what I could do is take that link, I could share it with my team, say this is how I want to see it built. And look, I might go back and forth with this thing for about 10 or 20 minutes, but when I do that, it looks pretty good. As you see, as it's going through each one of these sections, and it's improving it based on the feedback I've given it. So this would be, take Facebook ad out. You could put this on your website, and you could have this as a landing page, what's called a conversion page. And then on this free coverage review, maybe the free coverage review is a calculator. And you see here, it's automatically done this. Now, here's what I don't like here. Primary CTA, right? Secondary, take less than 2 minutes. Well, that's really the same CTA here. So it still is confusing there. And it's probably going to say, oh, gotcha, you're right. See? Now let's see how fast it can update. Oh, see there? So let's see what it does here. See how fast it can update them. Should actually do it pretty quickly because those are the only two things we're asking it to update. And when it's updating these things, when you're working on the coverage quiz, I want you to go through and ask me a series of questions to help people take this quiz. It should typically be less than 5 questions so that we can increase conversions on it. Period, I want you to think about things like liability limits, drivers listed, things that typically you could see an exposure in a commercial auto insurance policy for a catering company. For example, how is equipment covered inside the vehicle? So now we have that. Now let's go ahead and give it this. It's basically giving me everything I need here. I could get a quote or take the coverage quiz. Now you'll notice I'm using 4.6 here. I could use probably some of the higher, the higher level models that don't use as many tokens, but I've been pretty deep into this and I wanted to get it right. And as I'm building out this calculator the same way, I want to show you how you can build out this calculator. Take the coverage quiz. Now, there's something powerful about this coverage quiz. Like on the coverage quiz, they're going to tell us, how big of a revenue they have, how many vehicles do they have, do they know their liability limits? If they have them, you see all these questions are telling us through this process really whether they're the right fit for us or not. Like, hey, it's revenue over $1 million. It's at least 3 vehicles. Their liability limits are 5 million, 10 million, whatever it is. So in using that data to understand that in our CRM to help our sales teams understand what's a good fit, what's a bad fit. And this is kind of where your lead scoring could come into play. So it's going to sit here and it's going to build this calculator. It's going to at least help build this calculator. I want to just show you kind of what it could potentially look like. And look, based on the results that you could send in the one landing page or another landing page, you could send in probably 3 different landing pages based on conditional logic, which means, hey, if I ask you one question, I may ask you another question based on that answer. And that's how we do a lot of our self-assessment tools. That's how we drive about 200 leads a month through one of our insurance agencies with this. It can be very powerful. And we use Claude to build a lot of that now. So you can see how beneficial something like Claude can be. Now let's see how quick it could give us a section to build this calculator. And look, if I'm building something like this, you could build something like this on Gravity Forms. You could build it on HubSpot Forms. You could build it and go high level. If I'm building in Gravity Forms, I'm building out the exact instructions for my team for Gravity Forms. If it's HubSpot Forms, same thing. Or even go high level. Hey, here's exactly what we need to do here. And things like Gravity Forms and WordPress actually work pretty well. Same thing with HubSpot Forms with their conditional logic now. For the most, I'd say probably 80% of the time we can get away with just using the form if it's built the right way. Especially now that you could redirect based on results on a page. So let's see how fast it comes with this. That it's adding the CSS styles. That's basically the theme, how the page is going to be designed, and all those things. And so that saves my team a ton of time because they used to work on those things. So, okay, now you see it's asking me these questions. So now let's go to take the coverage. See if it takes me to it. Nope, which tells me it's still working on it. Okay, so let's see. Now I'm having it show me the quiz in just a second. And if you can see right here on the browser, it's going to take me to it. I'm just waiting on it here. I had to go in and turn off the voice control because it kept getting carried away when Claude was trying to use my browser to do some different stuff here. So we're waiting on it to kind of build this to kind of see what this would look like. It's not there yet. It does take a little bit sometimes, but especially building a quiz like this. Now look, I've done calculators. I've built calculators based on things like bundle savings. How much life insurance do I need? Just think about it. Like, in fact, go to this and say, hey, I run a traditional insurance agency and I'm looking for 10 different ideas when it comes to self-assessment tools to follow the frameworks of Endless Customers by Marcus Sheridan. That may be a great thing to do there. And so hopefully this calculator will be ready in just a second. If it does, we'll finish up the training real quick here on this Claude. But as I said, Claude can be a very powerful tool. But anytime I want you to think about AI, think about this. And people get this shiny tool syndrome, say, oh, this is really cool, it can do this. but does it help you solve your problems? Does it remove the frictions? And that's what I'm looking for. For us, like an example, something with Claude, yeah, solves a big problem. It removes a big friction for us, which is our team having to understand what visuals we want on a certain page, how we want something laid out. This significantly helps with that. And so it helps my team visualize really what it is I want. And so instead of going back and forth with my team 10 different times, I can have this built, hand this to them, and we can really speed up the way things are done. As I said, I'm just waiting on this to generate the calculator. Hopefully it generates it for us. It should, because I typically don't have problems with Claude generating that calculator. But you could also build this calculator. I've built this calculator in things like Manus. That's MANUS.ai, who was recently acquired by Facebook. So using it in Facebook ads will be interesting, and I will be doing a video about which one of these platforms do you use to help you with your ads as your ad, what I would call your ad assistant strategist, and how to do all that. And so I will be doing a separate video on that, and I'll be talking about, should you be using these products to help you with your ad strategy? What are the pros and cons, and what do you need to think about as we go through this? And I think it's getting ready to pull this calculator up for us. Let's see. All right, now let's see what this calculator looks like. All right, you see right here, catering fleet quiz. Answer the 4 quick questions. Find out if your catering vehicle have dangerous coverage gaps. Now, I'm probably going to work on that messaging a little bit, but the purpose of this video is to kind of let you show the process. So let's start the quiz. All right, so, what type of auto insurance policy covers catering vehicles right now? Let's just say, let's say personal, because sometimes people think it does. Do you know what current liability limits you probably have? Yeah, probably just 100, 300. And as I'm going through this, you're probably getting in your mind starting to think, are they a candidate for a commercial umbrella? How does a GL work here? All these different things. All right, so now you see the results it gives me, right? It's kind of telling me the policy gaps, the hired non-auto, all these different things. And now that, if they wanted to get a quote here, they could. And when they get a quote, you can still pull in that same data from the form. And we can build this on Gravity Forms. We could build this on HubSpot Forms. Whatever form system you have, you could probably build this on. And so when it comes in, you kind of have all this data. Helps your sales rep have a better conversation now if you know what the customer already has and what they don't have. And so it just creates a different conversation. But the customer now is taking the self-assessment. And now if they click here, they can raise their hand and say, all right, now I'm ready to have a sales conversation. But if they haven't clicked this, we don't have our sales reps wasting their time. Instead, we have our automation marketing assistant who's working on all this right here. Our marketing assistant could be an AI agent, could be automation. Maybe it's a little bit of human here, whatever. But you can see exactly how this would work. Now, if we get a quote, let's see just what happens. Now it takes you to the get a quote page. And you can kind of fill out your information and all that different stuff. So that's just an example that I wanted to show you how you could do this. I hope that you've enjoyed this Claude training. If you have, do me a favor, hit subscribe to the channel below, share the content so other people can find the same valuable information. If you're in our AI community, I will have the standard operating procedure built out for you on exactly how you can do this. The access you need to give Claude step by step. And if you're not in our AI community, you can also join it by clicking on the tab in the description. Thank you, and I hope you have a great day.